Both should be recording.
Okay. I usually do this by myself.
Yeah.
Okay, don't die. Hello, welcome back to my podcast, Passenger Seat. This is episode, I think 4. I haven't done a few episodes, mostly because I had midterms, and that's pretty much it. So today we have a guest here, my
Hi.
brother, Frederick. Welcome to the podcast. You're our first guest.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to bring him on mostly because we're on a week vacation. I mean, you've been here for 2 weeks with Mom, and I was like, what better occasion to do a podcast with someone than with my brother, who knows a bit more about the technological part, the tech part of
I try to.
film. But yeah, today I just wanted to, I don't know, just kind of chat and, talk about, growing up together and like things that we've learned from each other, like going on more like serious side. And then I want to talk about movies because we both love movies, but he went to film school.
Yeah.
So I think he will have beautiful insight on that.
I hope.
Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm the younger one, usually.
People say that sometimes I'm the younger one.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. It depends by...
I think your attitude is more mature than me sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
I'll just agree with that.
Okay.
And so a little bit of a background. We're the 2 oldest ones in the family. So we're like the sibling parents, I guess.
Yeah, we're definitely the sibling parents. We have a 4-year age gap. I mean, I think between all of the siblings, we're the ones that are more alike. I guess we grew up in a similar environment, similar household, similar rules. I think the best example is just when learning French. We were only allowed to watch TV in French. Like, we grew up in Italy, and we were just like, my mom was like, this is the only, like you can only watch TV in French, nothing else.
Yeah, and we only had VHS.
Yeah, we only have VHS, and then eventually
because when
DVDs.
talking to my friends, I'm like, oh yeah, I used to watch VHS movies all the time. But
yeah, they didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up also with all my friends being like, oh, like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. I was like, I was not allowed to watch that unless it was in Canada, because it was in French. But yeah, I mean, what is like one of your favorite memories growing up together? Like,
okay, together.
I mean, you can also do your favorite memory.
I like the one growing up together because for the first few years of my life, we used to share a room.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh, nice.
I remember the room was like your kingdom, and then I had my corner.
I mean, you were a tiny little baby.
Yeah.
I mean, I do remember we were living in the apartment, and we were on the last floor, and it was like the attic where the rooms were. And I had my my bed and my everything, like my furniture was like from our old like great aunt, and like.
And the last few months, my bed was like a mattress on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, you were growing up, but like when you were a little kid, and I mean.
I remember, I have this memory of you stashing away all the Barbie dolls and all the dolls you had, because we were moving, and I think our mom told you to like put them in a box, and you just stashed them all away and never opened them again.
Yeah, I mean, my relationship with Barbie dolls was very difficult because my mom was like, she had a collection of Barbie dolls, and she was like, you can't touch these. So I never really played with Barbie dolls, but the ones I had, I would stash them. I do remember when she told me, oh, we're moving. So I was like, I need to make boxes and like move stuff away. So I was just putting stuff in boxes, and I think I was hiding them under my bed.
Yeah, probably.
And then I think they got lost, or like probably my mom opened them and like, what is this? A bunch of junk. And I was collecting. I was like 8 years old. I think you were 4.
Yeah, and
I'm surprised you remember that. Yeah.
And you had a bunch of like toys that you were like, no, that's for when we're moving and for the new house. So for like a few months, you just, I don't know, would read books or.
I would just not play, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, my favorite memory together. I have a few. I think it depends like what age. I think anytime we came to the lake house in the summer and we went to play at like swim in the lake, I remember it's not a good memory to have of you, but I remember when you were terrified of the water.
Oh yeah.
and we had this like blow up dolphin that we got, and like they would like force you on it,
and then I flipped it,
and you flipped it. You were like no, and you were just like. You were just not having a good time at all.
Yeah, no.
And I think after that, like, you got even more terrified of the water. You almost killed me once.
Yeah, straight up.
Just like holding
you down with me.
Yeah. No, but I mean, those are the fun memories I have. Not because like you were having a bad time, but I think it was because like such a core memory of like, because after that you became like literally like a fish. You were always in water. You were like doing swimming competitions and all that.
Yeah, that was when Mom was like, "No, you're not being scared of water.
You're not scared of water. You're going and you're swimming."
Mom, I'm scared. No, you're not.
No, you're not. Literally, like, you know those videos of like when they throw like not newborn, but like babies to learn teach them how to swim. They just throw them and they're like, "Come up."
That was me, but I was like 6.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember a time when we got in trouble together? I mean, we were talking about this yesterday with Mom. You got in trouble a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But together?
I don't know. I feel like if I did something, you would like let me know before Mom did.
Yeah.
But one time, I got you into trouble, or I got myself into trouble was when I cut your hair.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I was just sneaking behind the couch. Your hair was like...
Yeah, it was literally like it is right now. It was just like dangling in the back.
And like 5-year-old me was like, I'll try hairstyling for a change. And it's...
And I remember my mom was like, the way you cut it, it was literally like a square in the middle. So like there was long parts on the side. And so she had to like cut all even, super short.
It was the reverse mullet.
It was it was definitely, I remember it like, it didn't traumatize me, but I was just like, what just happened? Cause like, what do you mean now I have to like cut my hair and have my hair shorter?
And it wasn't like a tiny little bit.
No, it was like a big
this
chunk.
much, and it was...
Yeah. No, I remember, I mean, trouble, if times that we got in trouble together. I mean, there's sometimes where we give each other looks when like Mom and Dad are saying like weird things, but that's not really getting in trouble. We're just like acknowledging like what they're saying is crap, and or like what they're saying is like weird, and we're like, what is she saying? Like,
well, because for a lot of my childhood, you were like the role model. You were like,
what a role model, man. Oh.
Yeah, you were like the example to follow. And it wasn't just me. It's like Mom told me, do what your sister is doing. And
oof, that's a bad. Do what Azalee's doing.
She's doing fine. Look at her.
Look, and I mean like
she's like she's locked in her room. She's good.
No, I mean definitely. I think for like we had to grow up very quickly.
Yeah.
And also we had to.
How often do you get, it's like, oh, Azalee, you're so mature.
All the time. I mean, less now because I think
I
act more immature. No, I don't like. I just go and do stupid things. I think it's just now I'm trying to revert back to like, oh, like I never got to like be a teenager. Not that I'm saying that I'm acting out, because I am. I think I'm still pretty responsible, and I try to like be smart about things. But I think I just like, I'm like, man, I never got the chance to like do these things, or go to concerts with my friends, or hang out and do whatever, and so now I get to do it, and it's kind of like I'm reliving like my teenage years. I think during my teenage years, I think we weren't that close. I think because I was maybe like, we were parents to like our younger siblings, so it was kind of like became this like relationship where it was just like we're trying both to be responsible, even though we're both literal kids and we don't know what we're doing.
Like, I think it was the end of high school for you.
Yes.
And beginning of high school, or like the end of middle school for me,
Mm-hmm.
where we just coexisted.
Yeah.
We didn't really like address each other as much.
Yeah, I mean, definitely my last year of high school, I was not having a good time.
Yeah.
I usually call that my depression year, because I just didn't have a good time at school, didn't have a good time at home, just didn't have a good time in general.
Yeah.
So I think because of that, I just really like stayed away from you guys.
Yeah.
And I also was like, now that they're growing up and I don't have to take care of them, they can take care of themselves, but then can they take care of themselves? And then I left for Korea, and I was like, you guys figure it out.
Yeah. And then I left as well because I couldn't handle it.
No. I mean, I do think it's, it definitely warmed my heart when I was like, oh, I'm going to Korea. And then you were like, oh, I want to go somewhere else too, because I knew like the situation at home. Not that it was like horrible, but like not a good time. But I just was like, oh, like he can also go and explore, and because I loved Korea so much, I was like, oh, I'm sure he will enjoy it too. But you went and pandemic happened.
Yeah.
So
the timing was off.
And then after that, we were forced to be at home all together. But I think we learned a lot there. I liked being all together. I think there was a beginning period during the pandemic where like at least once a week there was one person that would like lose it and go and like get mad at everyone.
Yeah.
And then after that, after everyone got their turn, which by the way, we were like 9 people. How many people were in the house?
Yeah, it was crowded.
Yeah. But at least after like those like 8 to 9 weeks of like one person would lose it, after that it was pretty chill.
That's why I feel like I did 2 years of high school, really, because the other 2 years it was just watching YouTube and like fake Zoom classes.
Yeah.
And then Hong Kong, I ditched school pretty much every day.
That I didn't know. Because yesterday Mom was like, oh, I remember when I got so mad at Frederick. And I was like, but for what? Like, the only crazy thing that I remember he did in Hong Kong was when he shaved his head, which I thought it was very funny because he did it like for a video. And then she was like, no, it's when...
Yeah, no. It wasn't my Britney Spears moment. It was...
I think you just did it because it was fun.
Yeah, of course. No, but I just ditched school. My grades went down, and I faked my report card.
Yep. That I didn't know, and that was kind of crazy. I think I blanked it out of my head. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm like, I think because it was such a stressful. I do remember like Mom and Dad being like, "What is going on with Frederick? What do you like about his grades?" But I think I removed it from my brain up until yesterday when Mom like reminded us. But what is something that I did as a kid, or even now, that do you think annoys you the most?
I don't know. Sometimes you have this attitude towards, well, me, but us in general, that like we don't really get what's going on in your life. Like, oh, you guys wouldn't get it, or
Like you say, like I'm like, it's too complicated to explain. I'm not going to because
in a way that.
I think I tried to change that. Yeah, I tried to be more open about it.
I feel like that's changed a lot since you've had your own life and your own experiences and your own ups and downs. Because then, like, we're your family, so you're like, oh yeah, I guess I can tell them how this guy is being a total piece of crap, and how that person is as well. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's true. That I guess it is like something that
don't get me wrong, like I'm guilty of the same thing. So.
Yeah, I think all of us as siblings are very like we just don't really talk about us or like our things that are going on. Both good and bad things, I think. There's sometimes where like I don't know, it's not even like about like if I tell them like they're gonna get jealous or blah blah blah. It's not even about that. It's just like we're not used to it. I think we were not used to like sharing like our ups and downs and like or especially like sometimes with mom like we would share our like downs and then she would freak out and oh my god blah, blah. And sometimes it's just like no, I'm just having like a mad day and like
when she realized like the bar fight thing.
Yeah, when you were telling her like, oh yeah, I did get into bar fights, which I knew about
2 years ago. And
and which I knew about, and I was like, I mean, it's not great. It's not the smartest thing you've done, but I think it's like it was part of your character development in Toronto to get into bar fights.
And she like in all of that, she hasn't asked once like, why didn't you tell me back
before? Then? Yeah, I think because like, I mean, I think a part of her just understands that like since it's 2 years ago, it's not that recent. She, there's no point in yelling at you, even though she kind of still did. But my most annoying thing, like the thing that annoys me the most about you, I would say the same thing. Kind of, you just kind of like we don't really like share. I think we've learned to do that. We're not willingly like, oh my god, yes, let me tell you, blah blah blah. But I think we're learning to do that.
I guess you're better at like keeping up with people and letting them into your life. People. Yeah, because I think I had this need to, because otherwise being the oldest, I think for a while when I was like moving away, I was like, oh, like if I don't keep up with them, they'll just go move on with their life. And I think one of the things that is very important to me is making sure that like everyone feels part of a group, everyone feels like welcome and accepted into a group. I think it stems from my own need to do that, but like I like to keep up so that people are like, oh yeah, I am part of this, like, that's why I make like so many like group chats with like my siblings, and even 2 group chats with like mom, and one with mom and one with dad, and like I just try to like include everyone. I send like thousands of pictures every time I go on the vacation. Yeah, so that's
and then I'm like hopefully one day they will do that too.
That's something I do admire about you a lot, which is like you have this energy to bring people together, even when they're not physically there. Meanwhile, I need to be in the same room with the person to like bond, and then as soon as I leave the room, that's it. That's like
they're gone. This is giving a little bit of ADHD, in my opinion. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you definitely did get this from mom, because like when I ask for like family updates and stuff, like I have to like keep reminding. Yeah, I think like I have to keep reminding you guys, like, and be like, hey, remember when you were telling me about this? How's that going?
Yeah.
Remember when this happened? What's the end of the story of that? Mostly because like there were so many that like it's so hard to like keep everyone in the loop. That's why I make group chats. That's why I'm like, I will tell the story again 20 times if I have to make sure that everyone knows. But also I think maybe that's why I also do podcasts, and like that's why I started like my Korea videos to just like kind of keep everyone in the loop.
Yeah.
Even though they're in English, and my mom asked to do some in Italian and in French.
Yeah.
Which
I feel like that's
we'll see.
like a fair middle ground between.
For English?
Like, yeah, because then if you spoke in Italian or in English, you would be, in a way, letting people know too much. Because people, like your closest friends and like people you know are from Italy or from Canada.
Yeah.
So
that's true. If by putting it in English, it's like distancing myself a little bit.
Which is good because it's personal in a way.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's fun to, for me, English. We were talking about cursing yesterday, and I can't curse in Italian or in French because like
it's been like drilled.
It's drilled into my brain. Like
yeah.
You don't curse in front. Like I only speak French with like my grandma or like family members. I'm not gonna curse with them. And then same for Italian. I grew up, going to like Catholic school, like cursing, absolutely not. And so when I grew up, like when I started learning English, I was like, oh my God, I can just use these curse words and they don't even affect me because it's like in a language it's not to me. It's just like, I'm just like, I can curse and like.
And then all the movies we watch and all the people we know.
And they're always cursing.
They're always cursing. So
it's
part of the vocab.
Yeah. But let's see. I have a bunch of questions here.
Jesus. I won't die here, but. All right, camera stop. So that's when we.
He's a professional. He was like, I can't even like.
You gotta sync the audio and the footage.
Okay. So the question was, why do you think we're the most creative ones?
In the family, yeah. I have my own answer, but I want to hear yours.
I mean, I'm not trying to be like generalist and be like, everyone's creative in their own ways. But I think like we definitely are more emotional.
Maybe.
I think we have the most lore, and I think that makes us like, we have to have a way to like express it in a way. And I think, not to say that our younger siblings had it easier, but I think because we were there, we made it easier for them. And there's a bunch of things that like, of course they will have their own difficulties and their own challenges, but like I think because we were there to like help them out, there's a few things that like they didn't have to like struggle with or deal with or even see, that I think it made us more creative because we needed an outlet to not self-destruct. Basically.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And to add on, I think also being creative is for us a way to escape a bit. So as you said, an outlet, but like by creating worlds that were different from our real life world, we were able to create like a cocoon around ourselves. Mm-hmm. So like I went into movies and making like adventure films and traveling around the world because that was like my thing that would protect me from the outer world. Yeah,
I think for you definitely. I mean, you've always been an adventurous kid. You've always been the one like that would go out into the woods every time we would come to the lake house. Even barefoot, you would just go and like the amount of times that you like hurt yourself.
No time to change shoes. Just...
No, I gotta go now. Nature calls. That's a different meaning. But I think it's the same. I think for me, I was not an adventurous kid. I think
But you are in a way.
In a way, I am. Like, I think I do like more spontaneous things, and I just do things that like I'm like, I'm just gonna go to Korea for a year. I'm just gonna like move to Canada. I'm just gonna change my program. I think for me it's always been like, I mean, YouTube has always been something that we always wanted to do. There was a period of time where like you know, when you had like most subscribers and like more like you were making like content and stuff, and I was like, damn it, he's doing better than me. But I also was like, but the content that you were making was different from what I wanted to make, so I was like, it doesn't even matter at the end of the day, because it's different content, different things that people want to see, different things. And like for me, it was just always about like sharing my experience, sharing my things. I think I just always wanted to like I think by showing like what I wanted and like bringing like people into like my little world, they were like, you can be part of this too. that's kind of creepy, but like you can be part of this too, because I think there's a bunch of times where I felt like I wasn't part of a group or I wasn't part of something. So I was like, if I make my own, then people can come into my own world and everyone will feel welcome and everyone will be nice. And also just like, I don't know, I think maybe the Aquarius in me always thinks that I'm like unique and quirky. So I was like, like I like very girly things, but I also like very, like that now doesn't really matter what, but like, I liked watching like rom-coms, but I always also liked watching like documentaries and stuff like that. And like, I don't know. You weren't set by a genre. Yeah, I was like, that's why I'm like, I want to do like vlogs, but I also want to do podcasts, but I also want to do like things that I do, or like, I don't know. That's why I think the podcast is the best outlet right now, because I'm like, I can talk about literally whatever I want. Can bring people that have different interests and everything. But I think, that's why we're the most creative ones. And also,
but also the flip side of that is it's very personal whenever we put something out. Like for me, it's personal to my experiences, and for you it's like your life and your
I think it's very, very personal, because
and so doesn't that like scare you, like in a way that it's
absolutely it's on the internet. There's at least 2 videos on my channel where it's me bawling my eyes out about like looking back, or like there's a video of me when I was in Korea being like, I want to be in entertainment, and I'm like just crying because I'm like, this is what I want to do. And I think I just have that of like, I don't know, it is very scary, and sometimes I do like overthink it, and I'm like, maybe I should cut this part out, maybe I'm saying like too much, maybe I'm saying this too much, blah 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 blah, and then I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. But I just do it.
Have you ever scrapped videos, like you filmed the whole video, edited it, and then I'm not putting it.
I'm like, this is not giving the thing I wanted to give, is this really showing who I am? Is this showing like what I wanted to, like, or the lighting was bad, or I look bad, or blah 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 blah, and I just don't. It's not on there at all, and probably will never see the light of day. But it's kind of like that. I think sometimes you just have to like do it, and then, sometimes it gets perceived as like the way you want it to. Sometimes it gets perceived in like a thing that you never thought about, and then sometimes it's just like, this was bad, and everyone is like, ugh, do better next time,
The video that was perceived way differently from what I had expected it to be perceived was the one in Tunisia. And not only from like my family, the reactions to it, especially our mom, but also from other people, and like people were confused how, like in the end, I was being happy for something that was so like rare and.
I think it's like if people, especially people that like did not grow up with a lot of siblings. I think there's a time where like everyone's young and everyone's together. You're like, oh, we're gonna be like this forever, and like, oh my god, they kind of are getting on my nerves. I see them all the time, and then you get those moments where like we go to Tunisia all together, and it's a very rare occasion that like everything lined up and everyone was able to make it.
Yeah, and people were confused, like, you're in such a beautiful country. Why are you being so
sappy,
so dramatic?
Because because it is a dramatic moment, and I think it's like, you know, maybe we're getting older and we're like appreciating moments like these more. Like I think, you know, now that like, you know, I have a job and I'm also finishing university, you're like finishing university too. You know, Wilbert is gonna start university, and like,
you should have him.
I should have him on a podcast, you know.
He would say 3 words.
3 words and be like, okay, well that's it for me.
All right, goodbye.
but it's like, now that like everyone is like close to be like, they're on their own journeys, and like it's harder to like bring everyone together. That's why maybe now I appreciate, like, not appreciate, but like I understand mom more when she's like, oh, but like Christmas together is very important. And I'm like, in the past I'm like, like I don't want to be here, or like, but I get it. I'm like, these are the rare occasions where everyone comes together, because as an adult you have to make the effort. As a kid you're forced to be there, and you like are like, well, Christmas gifts, nice, and then whatever. But Legos, literally. But when you're an adult, you literally have to make the time. Like I have to like ask for time off, beg to have time off.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, you have to like. And
imagine soon when you'll have to like juggle my family and my partner's family.
Don't even get me started. I think about it all the time, and like with mom, I think like I always say like, oh, I'm gonna do one Christmas and one Christmas with the partner, like always like kind of alternate. But she's like, no, but like, why can't we just do Christmas every year at my house, and then you can do New Year's at their house? And I'm like, mom. Like,
well, actually,
what about when we're gonna have our own kids and we're gonna do our own Christmas, and then like everyone's gonna be all scattered around the world? Like how do you plan that? I think we should choose another holiday.
The solution: you find someone that doesn't celebrate Christmas.
True, but then they're forced into this whole Christmas thing.
Oh, true.
They're like, I know you don't celebrate this, but my family is very, very big on Christmas, so you have to come. No, I think like, I don't know, it's very difficult, especially like in the future when we'll have kids and everything, and like planning that.
Oh yeah.
And like that's why sometimes like I hear like, oh, in movies or like even like they're like, oh, the only times we see family anymore is like weddings or funerals, and I'm like, oh, I don't want that.
No,
like,
I hope it's not.
You know, I mean, hopefully, since we're so many siblings, we'll have lots of weddings. But also, it's like, do I really have to wait until there's like one big day where like everyone else is also going to be there? Like, I think either we do like a yearly trip all together. This is such an American thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. This is just like
we all go to I don't know, Cuba together.
Yeah.
Or some kind of American destination. Yeah.
Depending on where we are. If majority of our family is like on one continent, we'll try to.
Yeah.
But I think it's like very difficult now, like growing up, being like, oh, I have this time, and like sometimes, I mean, there's a few times now where like the majority of our siblings were together, but there was one missing or one was like somewhere else. And it's always difficult to plan around that because it's like...
Because we're 8.
Yeah, also, yeah, 1, we're 8. There's 8 of us. 2, not majority, but like, you know, the younger ones are like in their teenage years, so they hate spending time with family, and they're like, I don't get it.
I don't want it.
And then there's us, we're busy, we have responsibilities and all of that, and then, you know, our younger siblings were still forced to be around at like gatherings and stuff, and like they'll eventually hit their teen years and they don't want to, and you know, it's a lot of planning. How
feels like ages ago we were both teens, but for me it was like last year.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 24. What do you mean? It's been a while for me. It's been 5 years.
Well, actually, like, I don't know, my teen era ended when Maya was born, more or less.
Yeah.
Because then
So
I was like
2018.
then you're like, you've got responsibility. You gotta be like the big brother. You gotta be.
Yeah.
You gotta cook. You gotta clean. You gotta.
Yeah, I think.
Well, before then it was just like crazy life and party life.
Yeah.
All the time.
I mean, I think having a lot of siblings is great, but also expensive for Christmas, especially.
Yeah. Birthdays as well.
And then planning to just be all together. I think when we went to see Deadpool and Wolverine this summer, that was great because that was the first time where we're like, there was no parents, it was just us. We went to see this movie, and like our younger brother Christian, who's 14, he's like, oh my god, this is great, like I can go watch these movies with my siblings, and like, you know, and like I also like was driving, so like yeah, it was great. It was just like
just adults being adults and
and just like, you know, just siblings just like hanging out and having fun going to watch a movie. But yeah, I actually wanted to say that I got into Marvel because you guys were into Marvel, mostly because I wanted to be part of the group.
We brought you down to
they're like no, but like, oh no, the camera has sat down again. Nah,
that would be fun on the podcast. You could have like the black screen.